Okay, this is a quick video looking at importing DWG site surveys, which is something that confuses a lot of people because there are just so many variables in it with the design layer scales, the scale of the DWG, the fact it brings in sheet layers. It's something that often confuses people, and they can be geolocated. So Hester has sent me a DWG file. I said I'd take a look at it, and she was looking for some tuition. Whatever, it shouldn't hopefully take too long, although I'll try not to waffle too much. So first thing is I have got this in my downloads folder. So for anyone who doesn't know, I think this is the case on a PC. It certainly is on a Mac. You can have your Finder window open. You can click and drag it straight into Vectorworks. So it has automatically detected the units as centimetres. Great. Here, this is actually French, I think. In the UK, they're generally in metres. Generally, surveys are done in metres and architects' drawings are done in millimetres. Anyway, we will find out. So I'm going to press OK. It's going to bring it in. Great. And so instantly I can see it has created 2 sheet layers. I don't really care about the sheet layers because they're never converted properly from AutoCAD, and they'll generally be sending a PDF file alongside the DWG. So, I don't really care too much about that. What I care about is the design layer. So I'm going to go here and see what we've got. So this kind of thing here, I just don't need to worry about it. It's just a ancient throwback from Vectorworks. Some people get really kind of bogged down in having this weird frame. Actually, you can just draw anywhere, so we're not going to worry about that. I'm just going to check what my design layer scale is. So I am not going to talk about this because it's a whole nother thing that is potentially incredibly confusing. All that matters is that I need to be drawing at the same scale as the site survey. This site survey has come in at 1 to 20,000. That number is irrelevant because at the design layer, it's always 1 to 1. So you're just going to have to take my word for this because I'm not going to spend, it would take me 10 minutes to explain it in a coherent way. What I want to do is change this, and I'm going to change them both so that they're 1 to 1 scale because we want to draw at 1 to 1. It's honestly something Vectorworks should just get rid of, this design layer scale thing, frankly. So we are going to do that. So both now at 1 to 1, press OK. You can see that stuff has now moved because it was at 1 to 20,000. Now it's at 1 to 1. So the first thing I want to do is check whether things are the right size. So very helpfully, there are a load of dimensions here. Fantastic. This should be 15 meters. Yes, perfect. So if I click on it, so the fact it's gone to decimal places is just because I made that scale 1 to 1. So we're not going to worry about that. 15.069 it is. Remember, we round up if you think back to your GCSE maths. So that's great. So that number is there. So that's correct. Fab. So this is the architectural thing. I presume it's the ground floor and the first floor. And a roof plan, I think, by the looks of it, and possibly some elevations. Haven't looked at this far before, which you can tell. And then there are 2 surveys. I'm going to guess, I do not know what res means, but the fact it's got a red line in it suggests that I'll probably ignore that, and we'll go and look at this one. So site surveys, there is usually something in there that allows you to check some measurement that allows you to check it. So in the architect's drawing below, we actually had dimensions. Here we have a grid reference. So quite often surveys come in and they are geolocated. So if you are wondering why, you're like, why do I bring this stuff in? And you can see at the top of the page, it's put it at 508 and 52, blah, 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 blah. It's so small I can barely read it. I'm old now and I need glasses. The reason is it's geolocated. So it's using the grid references that maps and so on use. I do not know a great deal about grid references, but what I can tell you is that this number here and this number here, and I think there's that one there, might be one of them. Yeah, no, maybe it hasn't got the ones running horizontally, but certainly these 2, you can see they tally up. So if we go 504975 and 505500, that means great, we know there's 25 meters between them, and if I draw a line and check that, yep, it's 25,000 millimeters. So that is basically all brought in perfectly. So you should now be able to work with this file. So yeah, we're going to ignore this because this is their sheet layer that they've created in AutoCAD. So what we're essentially trying to do is get this to be 1-to-1 on a design layer. You know, whether your design layer is at 1-to-1 or 1-to-50 is up to you. I wouldn't have it at 1-to-20,000 or 1-to-2,000. I personally would have it at 1-to-1 and 1-to-50 or 1-to-50. What it affects is plant lines and a few other things, and it's just how they display. So from here, what I would probably be doing is, what's the best way to do this? What you could do is put the architect stuff on a separate design layer. You could also create a new design layer, which is what I often do, and I'll call it viewport arc. Let's call it building, B-U-I-L ding, and press OK. So I've made sure that's at 1-to-1. Go great. So now I can still see everything, and it's probably going to be this one, I'd say, that we will use. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a rectangle over it. I've got the wrong rectangle tool up. I'm going to change my layers from grey snap others to show snap others, and with that rectangle I'm going to create a viewport. So I'm going to go view, create viewport. Yes, I want to use it as a crop, 1-to-1, and it's going to be created on my layer that I just created, which is this one. So you don't have to just put viewports on a sheet layer, you can put them on a design layer too. There is a reason also for doing this. I mean, partly is that it just leaves your survey intact without you fiddling around with it. You know, it's basically a kind of, you know, a window where things are fixed. So I would then move it over here. So rather than faffing about with this, we've just created a different design layer, and we are going to put that down there and just use the rotate tool like so. Click and rotate that, and hopefully, I'm not sure whether it's a new building, we can hopefully just drag that there like so. Perfect, brilliant. So that's all lined up there. The other thing, I'll just turn the survey off. So this is actually mostly black and white, but the other thing that it's really good for is when you bring stuff in and it's all multicolours, one of the functions of a viewport is that it lets you turn off the colours. So if I select the viewport, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of it, go to advanced properties, tick black and white only, and you can see it makes it black and white only. It also works on your sheet layers, great for planting plans if you want to do it in colour and then strip the colour off at the end. But yeah, it just makes things look a bit neater rather than having all multicoloured lines and stuff. So yeah, that's that. If we put that survey back on again, then yeah, then basically you can draw from this. It's not a very good survey. I mean, I would expect to see a lot more information on it, like trees and other surfaces and all the rest of it. But yeah, hopefully that helps you, Hester, and anyone else watching. So yeah, the key thing is just making sure you've got the right scale when you bring it in, checking a few dims, making sure they tally up. Ideally, you'll either have a scale bar or some dimensions, or these grid references on your survey to double check everything. All right, hope that helps.